Okay, today we're going to be talking about converting line forms. We're in section 6.2, and what our target is simply I can convert between line forms, and we're going to use most of these today. Remember, we have slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Okay, that's our slope, and that's our y-intercept. Okay, we have point slope form where m is our slope. I'm just going to put that stuff over here. M is still our slope. And the point, even though these are negatives, we switch the signs. x1, y1, that is a point on the graph. All right, that is an important point. And then if we have a vertical line, we write it as x equals a, where a is just whatever number it repeats as its x value. And then our horizontal line has zero slope, and we write it y equals b, where b is just that constant y value. And then standard form, ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers, and a and b are not both zero. So those are just some of the line forms that we're going to use today. We are going to convert. We're going to convert quite a bit, but we're going to go between four different conversions today. We're going to go from point slope to slope intercept, from point slope to standard, from slope intercept to standard, and from standard to slope intercept. Okay. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to start off by converting to slope intercept form. And we're going to convert from point slope form. So we're going to go from y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 to being just a y equals mx plus b. Okay. Let's look at an example for that. Let's say that I had maybe y minus 5 equals, let's give it a slope of 3, and x minus 7. Okay. And I want to convert that into y equals mx plus b. I have my slope m, and the only real issue is I have this set of parentheses, and I have this 5 over here by y. I just want to make this thing look like this thing, and all we're going to do is we're going to move numbers around. I'm going to start off by distributing. So y minus 5 equals 3x minus 21. So, and really, whenever you're going from point slope to slope intercept, you're going to follow these steps. So distribute, and then the next thing I want to do is I want to get this 5. I want to take it over there. It's a negative 5, so I'll add 5. So I have y equals 3x minus 16. Okay, those go away, and that'll be my answer. That's in slope-intercept form. And that last step, all I really did was solve for y. Okay, now the important thing is that you always keep your eyes on the prize. Know what you want to do. When I'm working with slope-intercept form, I have a y equals equation. So it's almost like working with literal equations, if you remember those. All right. So what I want you to do right now is go ahead and pause the video and try the problem below. Don't worry about the right-hand side yet. We'll get to that. All right. So pause the video and do this problem right here. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully it didn't give you too much trouble. Remember, I want to distribute and then solve for y. So I have y minus 4 equals, I'll distribute the 1/2 in, and that'll be 1/2 x plus 3/2. You could have wrote 1.5 if you wanted to. It's not a big deal. But the next step is going to be adding 4. Okay. And to do that, I'm going to write what I need to, just kind of rewriting things right now. But I am going to, again, go to, wow, having a hard time thinking. Go to mixed numbers. So if you remember, 3 halves is the same as 1 1/2. And I'm going to add 4 to that. So 4 plus 1 is 5. That'll be 5 1/2. All right. So we'll have a plus 5 1/2. If you wrote 11 halves, that would be right. If you wrote 5.5, that would be right. Any form of this number is okay, as long as it's the correct one. All right. Let's go back up here and let's go from standard to slope-intercept. All right. What I want to do is turn it into y equals mx plus b. All right. And what that really means is I'm solving for y. All right. Now, the steps to do that are to move the ax, the ax term, and then divide by b. Now that's a different b from this b right here. One's capital, one's lowercase. That means different things. We only have 26 letters in the alphabet, so we have to kind of reuse letters from time to time. But let's look at an example here. Let's go with 7x plus 3y equals 21. Okay, a pretty simple example. Everything's positive. That's always kind of nice. So I'm going to move the ax term. So I'll subtract 7x, subtract 7x. Those cancel. I have 3y equals negative 7x plus 21. And then I'll divide by b. Now when I divide it, I can just put it over the whole thing, or put it under the whole thing, or I can put it under every term. And that's what I'm going to do. All right, it means the same thing. So what I have here is I'm going to cancel these out, and y equals, I'm going to rewrite this a different way, but it means the same thing. 7/3 x plus 21 divided by 3 is 7. So that's what I would get for turning that equation into slope-intercept form. What I want you to do right now is pause the video and try this one below. All right, welcome back. Now remember, I want to move the ax term. Okay, my notes right up here. Move the ax term and then divide by capital B. So we're going to move that. We're going to subtract 6x minus 6x. Bam, bam. Cancel those. Negative 3y equals negative 6x minus 12. All right. Divide by negative 3. And remember, I'm going to do that to both terms. And those are going to cancel. Y will be equal to negative 6 over negative 3 is 2x. Negative 12 over negative 3 is plus 4. All right, and that's about the only way to write that one. If you got that, good. If not, see if you can't fix it without following the video. And if you still can't figure it out even with the video, come and talk to me and I'll help you out. Let's go to the next page. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to convert to standard form. Okay, we're going to convert to standard form from point slope form and from slope intercept form. But let's start with this one. Remember, I want to get it to ax plus by equals c. All right, and let's look at an example to help us do that. Let's go y minus 5 equals negative 2x minus, oops, sorry, let's go x plus 4. Okay, and let's get a closer look at this and see what we have to do. The main thing that I want to do here is I want to get x and y as single terms on the same side. So I'm going to distribute again. So we will distribute. And I'll have y minus 5 equals negative 2x. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. All right? And so again, what I want to do is I want to get my x term and my y term on the same side and one single number over on the other side. So I'm going to do that by adding 2x, add 2x, and those are going to go away. I'll have 2x plus y minus 5 equals negative 8. Now all I have to do is bring the negative 5 over by adding 5. So I'll get 2x plus y. Those cancel. So we have equals a negative 3. And that'll be my answer. Okay? So my steps here are distribute, and then I'm just going to say get x and y on the same side. Those are important notes right there because you're going to follow those steps every single time. Okay? In fact, you're going to do that on this problem right below. I want you to pause the video and write it out. All right, welcome back. And let's go ahead and see how you did. So I'm going to start off, I'll distribute y plus 15 equals, let's see, we have negative 3x plus 30. All right, I'm going to add the 3x. Those cancel, so I have 3x plus y plus 15 equals 30. I have one too many things over here, and I'll move that over. 3x plus y equals, and I have that deal there, and I want to subtract 15, so we're going to be left with 15. Okay, hopefully you got that. Let's go ahead and move up to the top here. So we're going to go from slope-intercept form into standard form. And that means we want ax plus by equals c. All right, we want the same thing. We haven't changed that. Okay, now let's look at what we have. Let's look at an example. Let's go y equals 1/3 x plus 7. I don't know why. We're just going to use that problem. All right. So again, I want x and y on the same side. So get x and y. X and y on the same side. I don't have to distribute, but I just have to subtract 1/3 x from both sides. So notice, since I'm moving the whole x term and I'm not peeling the 1/3 away, I do have to subtract that. I'm not multiplying by 3 in this case. Okay? Those cancel. Negative 1/3 x plus y equals 7. Now, here's the only deal. And we're just kind of lucky that it didn't come up in the previous two problems over to the left. But whenever I'm working with standard form, I never have fractions or decimals. All right, I need to turn those into whole numbers, okay, or integers in this case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of distribute something into the entire equation. And this is kind of a trick that's called killing the fraction. I'm going to get rid of all the fractions by multiplying by the biggest denominator that I have. So my denominator here is 3. So I'm going to multiply by that 3. And I'm going to distribute it into every piece of the equation. And that will kill my fraction and just give me integers to work with. Because 3 times negative 1/3, well, that would be like negative 3 divided by 3, which is negative 1, or just negative x. Plus 3 times y is 3y. Equals 3 times 7 is 21. As long as you multiply something by the whole equation, you can pick whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But I should have put it over on the left-hand side but we need to make sure we kill the fraction. Okay, kill the fraction. That's a very important step that we always have to do when we're going into standard form, and only standard form. Okay, the other forms can have fractions. I want you to go ahead and pause the video and do this problem. Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you were able to kill that fraction after you got x and y on the same side. We'll subtract 1/5 x minus 1/5 x. Cancel those out, and I have negative 1/5 x plus y equals negative 12. Really, this conversion is pretty easy. The only issue is when you do have a fraction that you do have to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm multiplying 5 by everything. 5 times 1/5 is negative 1, or just negative x, plus 5y equals negative 60. And there we go. That'll be our answer. Hopefully you got that and you didn't leave it in this one up here. Okay, make sure to kill that fraction. Let's look at the bottom part. We're going to take these problems and we're going to convert them into all three forms. All right, they're not given in any specific form, but we're going to practice putting it into standard form, slope-intercept form, and point-slope form. You can go any order you would like, but I'm just going to start off by going into standard form. So standard. Remember, for standard form, I want x and y on the same side and a constant on the other side. The only thing I have to do is I have to move this 2x over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 2x. Kind of didn't give myself any room to do this. All right, they cancel out over there. 5x minus 2x is going to leave us with 3x's plus 3y's equals my negative 5. Okay, so I have that. That's my standard form. If I'm going to go into slope-intercept form, it's pretty easy to do from standard form. Okay, so I'm just going to go over here. I'm actually going to box this because this is part of my answer. That's the standard form equation. And let's look at slope-intercept. Okay, remember that's y equals mx plus b. I'm going to rewrite what I have so I can do some operations to it to change it up. So I'll subtract 3x from both sides because I want x and y on different sides. Really remember, all that we have to do to go into slope-intercept form is to solve for y. So those go away. I get 3y equals negative 3x plus 5. Okay. And now my last step will just be to divide by 3. Divide by 3. And I'll divide by 3 there also. Okay, so my 3's go away. Y equals negative 3 divided by 3 is negative x. 5 divided by 3, we're going to leave that as 5/3. Again, you can go to a decimal, but it's an ugly decimal, and I don't want to do that. Okay. So let's see. What I want to do now is I want to go into point-slope form, and this is probably the hardest one. But yeah, the hardest one is to go into point-slope form. But I know that every line hits every number at some point or another. All right. I'm going to use this formula, the slope-intercept form, to find another point on the graph. All right, and I'm going to find a point, and I want the x-coordinate. I can plug in any number into that and get an answer. So I'm going to use the x-coordinate of 1, because 1's usually easy to work with. And so we get y equals negative 1 plus 5/3. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one away from this. And what do I get when I do that is, oh, did I mess up somewhere? I think I did. No, oh, wow. Yeah, way back here. All right. See, my standard form has a -5. And so this should have been a -5, making this a -5. And this is a -5/3. Okay. So I'm going to be subtracting 5 there also. All right, that's okay though. We can work with that. All right. Everybody makes mistakes, remember. Even your teacher from time to time. Okay. Moving on, here we go. I want to go -1 -5/3, so I'm going to start at -1 and go back 5/3. Let's kind of go into some think space here, or I'll just do it down here. That's going to be -3/3 -5/3. Okay? So that's going to be a -8/3. So the y coordinate is -8/3. -8/3. So that's my point. Now I'm going to use that in point-slope form. All right? I know my slope. My slope is -1. Okay? So I'm going to tag that on here. M equals -1. And I'm just going to write it in point-slope form. So I need y minus the y coordinate. So I'm going to switch the sign. So it'll be +8/3 equals my -1. And then my x minus my x coordinate, which is 1. All right, kind of an ugly problem. Didn't work out so well going into point-slope form, but that's what this is, point-slope. Okay, it works out. It's kind of ugly, but we can deal with it. I want you to pause the video and do this problem below. All right, so remember we're converting this into all three forms. I'm going to start off with standard form because it's usually the easiest, and it definitely is in this case. I have 4x minus y equals 0 plus 7 is 7. So that's standard form. Let's turn it into slope-intercept form. All I have to do is solve for y. So 4x minus y equals 7. Make sure I wrote it right. Don't make the same mistake twice. All right, we'll subtract 4x. Subtract 4x. All I'm trying to do here is solve for y. I have a -y equals -4x plus 7. To get rid of this negative, really I'm dividing by -1, but all I have to do is switch the sign of every piece of the problem. All right, so turn -y into +y, turn -4x into +4x, turn +7 into -7. And there we go. That's kind of a shortcut to get rid of that -1. So that's my slope-intercept form. I'll do the same thing. I'll use a point. I'm going to use a point with the x-coordinate of 1. And so when I do that, I'm going to have y equals 4 times 1 minus 7. So y equals 4 minus 7, which is -3. So my point is 1, -3. Go back and check my slope. My slope is 4. So my slope is 4. And we can use now point-slope form of y minus the y coordinate. So minus -3 is +3 equals the slope x minus x coordinate. So x minus 1. And that is my equation of that line. All right, video got a little long. I'll try to keep the next one down a little bit. Go ahead and make sure you do the practice problems application. And good luck on the Mastery Challenge. See you later. All right, we're still here checking out TV math fails. The first one was Family Guy Math. Next one, number 3. Who wants to be a millionaire? Get a math question right, it could win you $15,000. Enjoy.
This is for 16,000. Which of these square numbers also happens to be the sum of two smaller square numbers? 16, 25, 36, 49.
This is hard to do math when you're sitting up here.
Ryan, take your time, okay? You have a lot of time.
I'm trying to think here. You know, it's under a lot of pressure right now. I'm going to ask the audience.
No problem. Audience, Ryan really needs your help here. If you're ready, vote now. Okay, 50% believe it is 16, 30% say 25, and 19 for 36, and just 1% for 49. So check with the AOL Instant Messenger crowd. 45% of them say 16, 23 for 36, 22 for 25, just 10% for 49. So they both agree, but the number isn't great. And I just want to remind you, Ryan, that you do have other lifelines if you need them, because should you miss it, you would drop down to 1,000. I don't know where your head was at before you asked the audience. Were you leaning toward anything? Or can you figure it out based on what you're seeing here?
I'm gonna go with the audience on this, and I'm gonna say A, final answer.
Oh, Ryan, the audience is not right. I'm sorry. It was B. It was 4 squared plus 3 squared is 16 plus 9 equals 25. I'm sorry, Ryan. Ryan, you sit right there. At least you got $1,000. That's something towards a car. Congratulations on that. You folks stay with us. We'll be right back with College Week right after this.